So carrying on, in terms of your mindset, and I just left off speaking about like, maturity, and obviously everyone matures at different times anyway because of their life experience. So for example, the life experience of the eldest child is going to be different than the youngest child or middle child or whatever. And so the maturity levels are going to be different because you had different, very, very different responsibilities. If you were parentified, I think is the word, as a child, and you were made to like look after your siblings, blah 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 blah, you're made to grow a lot quicker because obviously you've now got to worry about like these other people, which is also true to I guess what it must be like to be a mum or parent. I'll say parent before everyone gets at me, but there must be like this innate worry until you learn to like kind of live with it because you're looking after these amazing special things that are so precious. But anyway, back to mindset, how your mindset's so important. Your mindset's important because if you have the right mindset, you can get through anything. Whereas if you're negative, and think negatively about yourself or think negatively about the things that come to you to be solved, then you're going to crumble. And obviously it also doesn't help if you aren't aware of like neurodivergence, etc., etc., because there are things on a day-to-day basis that are actually far more challenging, where some people might look at it and be like, oh, it's just silly. But basic stuff like having to answer the phone, especially if you're around people, having to deal with complex emails can be quite difficult if your nervous system isn't set up in a way to cope. And so obviously all your life experience plays into these things and into building your character. You are always trying to navigate this world, right? And so when you are in positions where you're doing things regularly all the time, it's the same thing on repeat, you get used to it, which makes it become a habit, which makes it become easy. But then if you step out of doing what you've done regularly and try something new, it brings about all these new feelings. And the matter is that if you don't have the right mindset, you'll crumble because you're not preparing yourself on a mental level to be able to get through the things that you need to get through. And I promise you, you really can overcome anything. So, and I do believe also that is, of course, it plays a part in like whether we get sick on a mental level or not as well. Of course, not just that, but if your inner dialogue is very negative, then it's very hard to, it's hard to even be present with life around you as it is. Like even things like today where you are, the sun's out, for example, when your mind is negative, it's very hard to see the positives in just basic stuff like that, just the sunshine being out, or just being able to cook for yourself or have a roof over your head. When your mindset is negative, you're not present, you're not able to see the things that you have to be grateful for. And this is, again, it's not about blame or fault, it's about learning to reframe your mindset to ensure that you are putting yourself in the best position, because no one else is going to do that for you. People might advocate for you in terms of like trying to help you. Obviously, this is what therapy and stuff is there for as well, to help you grow into who you can become. But it's just very, very important to make sure you manage your mindset. And I think the younger you catch yourself, the better understanding you have of this stuff. But the reality is that things can happen to you at any age and any time, and so it doesn't really matter. I don't think it really matters when you learn it. It's just more so about knowing that if you have the right mindset, you're capable of taking anything on. So if you're in a situation where you need to negotiate, which most of us are usually on a day-to-day basis, there's some form of negotiation, even if it's not major scale, you know, even if that's just negotiating through conversation because something's happened at work that you're not happy with, or something's happened within the relationships that you need to discuss. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative, it's just a form of negotiation. And obviously, if you meet things with anger, stress, etc., it doesn't leave you in a good position. But also, I think if we're honest, it doesn't make you feel good if we're approaching things with anger and animosity. That's not to say those feelings aren't valid. They're perfectly valid. It's just a matter of, whilst you're feeling all those feelings, are you capable of maintaining a mindset that keeps you aware of the direction that you're heading in, and also allows you to navigate the situation in the best way possible, opposed to it being kind of a shut down, 555 on the clock, not going to communicate, not going to move forward or progress. I think that can be very difficult, especially when you're younger, especially when you're treated unfairly. If you have this huge sense of like a need for fairness and a need for justice, then it can be very, very difficult to navigate situations where you aren't being treated fairly. And the one thing I'll say with that is just make sure that you're capable and able to advocate for yourself. And if you are able to do that, do it. Your voice is your superpower. And, also trust your instincts. This is going to go a bit off piece, but this is coming to me at this moment. It's like when I was 19, I was seeing a 25-year-old, and this ties into the maturity thing, and also the conversation around like, oh, well, you should know better, people should know better about the people they choose. How on earth would you know better until someone shows you who they are? Because people aren't showing themselves initially. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't show who they really are initially. But also a lot of people